Hello, and welcome to day 2 of Master Your Midlife, the Men's Coaching Challenge. Today we're going to be focusing on a new theme, but let's just do a little recap of what we covered yesterday. So yesterday we looked at feeling stuck and feeling adrift, and we took some time to do a little bit of exploration about what the future might look like. So hopefully that sat well with you and maybe sparked some intrigue around potentials and possibilities for where we get to go moving forward. For today, we're going to look at the theme of loss of purpose and meaning. And when we look at this idea of loss of purpose and meaning, we can think of how we start to feel a sense of emptiness that creeps in at some point in midlife. And that can be a little bit off-putting, a little bit troubling. And it leads a lot of us to a sense of really even a sense of depression, a sense of, again, like we said yesterday, being adrift. So if there isn't a sense of purpose and meaning, then how exactly are we supposed to feel fulfilled about moving forward? So what's really going on when we're in this situation? A lot of this is about success without alignment. What does that even mean? So alignment is this subtle aspect of feeling like things are connected. In psychological terms, we sometimes hear about the flow state where things are flowing. And you will no doubt have had periods in your life where things were flowing really beautifully, and then there would have been other times when things weren't so seamless or flowing. We get into patterns of living very easily. And so what can happen is we start going through the motions of what our days look like, our weeks look like, our months look like, and then our years look like. And then we come to this point where we realize that things aren't aligned. Things aren't where I thought they would be. And you may not have that language around this. It may just be more of a subtle feeling that things just feel amiss, right? What happens is we end up living in the should state of things, and what should be going on, what should we be doing? So think back into your 20s when you were establishing who you were becoming. Right? And maybe that's an ongoing project. I know it certainly has been for me. But a lot of our 20s are when we're trying to create that sense of identity, that sense of a definition of who and what we are. And society gives us a bunch of shoulds. You know, we should be doing this. And then we start to look at what others are doing and trying to figure out, well, how can I make this work? And what should I be doing to move that stuff forward? And then we can actually get into a pattern of we start chasing things. We start chasing ideas. We start trying to live up to others' expectations, even if it's not in total alignment with who we are. In some ways, we don't care because we know that we're, building our names, we're building our status, we're building our bank accounts, we're creating our families and all of these things. What ends up happening, though, is we find ourselves potentially being out of alignment with our values. So this is where that feeling of ick, that feeling of something's not quite right, that feeling that what's going on here and why am I not feeling, fully satisfied with the path that I'm on? And a lot of it can be around this idea of a values misalignment. So when we don't feel like what we're doing every day is totally lining up with what we value in our lives. And let's be clear, this isn't something we contemplate or think about frequently. We don't sit down and say, well, what are my values and how is life playing in that regard? But that's why we need to do this now. So what we're going to do is explore our 5 top values. I'm going to give you an activity to do right now, and we'll move into that. And then we're going to rate how we're living according to those values. So let's open that up now. We'll come to this values document. So here we have a list of values. It's quite lengthy. There's dozens of them. And what I'd like you to do is just take the next few moments to review this list. Read through it. And as you read each of these words, there will be some sort of a visceral response to them. I want you to pay attention to that. And the ones that really stand out for you, write those down. Just continue to read through the list, writing down the ones that really stand out for you. Some of them will just be kind of blah, they'll be a non-response. But some of them are like, yes, that is me. It's just documenting those. Let's give you another minute or two to make your list. Just identifying as many as you'd like initially. That's great. And then once you've got those, you can go ahead and take a moment just to look at your list. If it's more than 5, I want you to circle or identify the top 5. So let's work with 5 to begin with. It's a little bit more manageable. I'll include this document here so that you can download it. You can do a more fulsome activity. If you've got more than 5, you can break them into clusters of 5 categories, and then from there identify the top 5. But for now, I just want you to be working with 5 values. And why are we doing this again? Because when we're out of sync with our values, then things will start to feel flat in our lives, right? There'll be less of that sense of fulfillment and purpose. So it's really important that values are part of how we're moving forward. All right. So now that you've got your list, let's come back here and look at each of those values and take a little bit of a time here. You can do this on your worksheet or just simply in your journal, however you choose to. I'd like you to look at each of those values and rate them in terms of how well each of them are showing up in your life. How much of that value are you living vis-a-vis your work, vis-a-vis your daily life, your family life, your activities? So take some time with that. Rate how well you live that particular value today. How is it showing up for you? Let's continue to do that exploration. Using your worksheet, necessary, or just documenting. Good. Another few moments here. All right, and then just wrapping up there, giving that reflection. You can always come back to this. Remember, obviously, you've got time to explore and to work and to expand on your thoughts. But for now, let's go ahead and I'll invite you to share what value would you like to maybe focus on and bring more to the fore in your life. Maybe just reflect on that for a moment. And when you're ready, you can raise your hand or use the hand raise icon to share. And I'll also invite you to go into the forum and share which value you want to work on and how you plan to do that. How do you plan to create more alignment between the desired values that you have and what's currently going on? So that's really the thrust of this activity, is identifying the value and then how are you going to create more alignment between the values that are going to fulfill you, the values that you desire, and your current reality. All right? So you can share now and remember to share in the forum. If you're watching the recording, please go ahead and share your comments below.